Welcome to the channel, guys. Let's see what's going on in the world of lost AWOL women.
You know, I was married for 23 years.
Okay, so this woman was in a marriage of 23 years.
And then now I'm with my boyfriend for 8 years. Obviously, I'm older. I left my husband when I was 45, 46.
Okay, so she's left the husband at 45, 46, and now she's 54. She says that she has been with the boyfriend for 8 years, which isn't a bad run, but that can end pretty quick. Let's see what she's got to say about how the marriage worked out for her.
Now I'm 54. And I can unequivocally tell you the one major difference between my dysfunctional marriage and my highly functional, thriving, beautiful 8-year relationship. And here's the big difference.
Drum roll. Let's have a drum roll, guys. Here it is. And there'll be women listening to this.
The difference is in my marriage, I was always working so hard to please my husband.
Okay, so whose fault's that? Did she go and get counselling for that? Why was she doing that? You know, was that something that she thought she had to do? Or was he forcing her to do that? Who takes the blame for this? Her or the husband? She's saying she was trying to become the woman that he wanted her to be for him. Well, hang on a sec. She would have already been that because that's why he married her. You don't go marrying somebody and then expect them to change after you get married. You expect things to develop. So what was the big... I think that's her way of saying she got bored. She got tired of the marriage. She got tired of the bloke. And it's just a covert way of justifying the fact that she got tired of the marriage and she wanted to get out and try something different.
To become the woman that he wanted me to be for him. And with my boyfriend, the only thing that I basically focus on working on is becoming the woman that I want to be.
Okay, so guys, let's be honest here for a minute. Why couldn't she have done that in a marriage? What's the big difference? Honestly. Right? The problem wasn't the husband. And the answer isn't the boyfriend. The situation was in her mind. Now you really have to wonder, viewers, what must have been going on in this woman's head for her to think. Right? The husband already accepted her the way that she was. I'm not saying people don't change and things don't get worse and stuff doesn't happen. But it's, how many times have you seen people come up with this idea that they had to become something that they thought their partner wanted them to become? Now, if you probably listen to a story on the divorce and what she did to get out of the marriage, the husband probably fought for the marriage. I don't know. We don't know the full details, but what she's saying is it's not a matter of adultery, it's not a matter of lying, it's a matter of what she thought her husband wanted her to become, but she should have known that when she married him. It's just not viable.
And here's the big difference. The difference is in my marriage, I was always working so hard to please my husband, to become the woman that he wanted me to be for him. And with my
I'm going to say this again. He wouldn't have married her if she wasn't already the woman that he wanted her to be. So something's not adding up here for me.
The only thing that I basically focus on working on is becoming the woman that I want to be. And he is in awe of that. Huge takeaway. The right partner will embolden you, inspire you, encourage you, support you, be the wind in your back for you to achieve your ultimate manifestation as a human being. The wrong partner will do just the opposite. So watch out.
So what she's saying is, and she married this man, so what's caused all this to happen? What she's saying is the man that she married wanted her to be the opposite of what she thought she needed to be. So why did she marry him, viewers? Why did she marry the man that she thought he wanted her to be the opposite of what she wanted to be, that she had to become the woman that he wanted her? I can guarantee you, you don't marry somebody if that's not the person that you want them to be. That's the person you want. That's why you get married. So I'm not buying her story so far. Okay, so this is the same woman. I haven't rehearsed any of this, but this will be interesting. Long video. Why a woman can't trust her husband even after he has done the work to completely transform himself. Oh boy, guys and girls, let's see what wisdom lies behind this.
I just got a message from somebody who said that she was married to a man. It was very dysfunctional. He's now completely changed. He's great. He's amazing. But she just can't get over it. Like she's...
Okay, so he's done the work, right? He's done his bit. He's shown value for the marriage. I think she's projecting here. This is probably her talking about herself in one way or another. And these people get resentments and bitternesses and hardened hearts. And it doesn't matter what you do. And this is good information for you guys out there that are still trying with people that have chucked the towel in on you. Sometimes you've just got to say it's done because the woman can't find a way out of it. And this woman's actually throwing women under the bus here, guys. If you listen carefully, it's really good information.
Still afraid to trust him, and she's still having a lot of problems with it, even though she said he's a completely changed man. He doesn't do any of that, and he's just an incredible guy now. So why is that? And here's the aha moment.
Okay, so drum roll, guys. Let's see what wisdom fearlesswoman.co is going to have.
See, we women or men, but I talk about women. Women, when we're little, when we're small, we have dysfunction. Okay, I'm talking about women here. It's not for everyone. We have dysfunction with our parents and our family, and we see dysfunction.
Now, let me just say, that's not all, young girls. She's picking out of the pot a bit here, and they see dysfunction. So do men. It's no different, men and women. It's all the same, boys and girls. It's a matter of how you interpret and understand and suffer or possibly navigate life's issues, even as a child. Let's see.
How mom and dad are, how they live, whether it's money, whether it's fighting, whether it's infidelity, whether it's no money, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever it is in your world. And what happens when we're little is we subconsciously equate that as love. Like that's what love means to us. Because we as little kids don't know otherwise. We don't know. And only when we become grown women and we're starting now to deal with our own growth and self-awareness and therapy and understanding and
Okay, so at what point do you begin to understand these things from a reality perspective and how these things have to be navigate it at what age? Well, they say you're an adult by the time you're 18. So by the time you're 18, you should be able to navigate the positives and negatives of your upbringing in a way in which is going to be of the most benefit to yourself and the people around you. She included the word therapy. Obviously, that's for the deeper component of people that have been damaged from their upbringing. Not all therapy is positive or beneficial. Best for you to work out what would be the best options and choices for you in that domain. Make the wrong choice and it could make things worse. Make the right choice and it will make things better.
In consciousness, we realize that that's not true, right? That's not love.
Okay, what she's talking about is the difference between common sense and the inability to interpret what's good for you and what's bad for you.
That was dysfunction. But because as girls especially, our first love is our dads, and boys, their first love is their moms.
I disagree with that, absolutely 100%. I was never in love with my mum in an intimate sense at all. She was my mum and that was as far as that went, and I respected her as far as I could with that. But this idea of your first love is your dad for the girl and the first love for a man is your mum, that's definitely not a healthy way to perceive things, because parent-child relationships aren't designed to cross over into an intimate dimension. So she's completely lost the way here in the sense of that's not a healthy way to have a parent-child relationship. I'm sure it's not uncommon. I'm sure it's not the majority, but it's definitely not, by the sound of it, very good parenting.
We look to replicate that drama and dysfunction as grown adults when we get married or have a relationship.
That's a general, broad perspective. I think more people than many of us would like to give credit to do find their individuality without the influences of the way in which they have or haven't been raised, both positive and negative, and to simply just fall into the trap that you were going. For instance, my father was a womanizer. There's some dynamics to this, and in one sense you don't want to become that yourself because you see all the pain and harm that it causes. Then in another sense there's some part of your nature that's trying to encourage you to become that. But you have to find what's best for you, what lessons you can learn from the evils and good and evil of your parents and the caregivers that have raised you. And you'll find some of the greatest ambassadors for health and safety have been the ones that have been abused. On the other hand, some of the worst criminals and abusers are those that have been abused. So there's different levels of coping capacities that we have relative to the way in which we're going to be formed and navigate our lives as we would like to. For some people, like some of these serial killers have perfectly normal families, but then on the other hand, they're serial killers. So there's many different dynamics. So she's speaking in a general terms, but they are not uncommon dynamics in people as they grow older.
Because on a subconscious level, that's love. Now, on an external level, on a physical level, which is 5%, consciously, you're conscious 5% out of the mind. You're like, no, I need a good man, a great man, I'm worthy, I deserve it, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, your reality is that you're with a bad person, a bad partner that's not good for you. So when you start doing the work, you will walk away from that because...
So hang on a sec. There's a bit of a contradiction going on here because what she's saying is, and this again comes down to individual experience and what's really happening within the relationship and whether you're being abused or not. She's saying that, be it man or woman, in this case the woman, if she does the work, that's the characteristic maturing and building of morality, integrity, and putting that into your perception of what's happening in your relationship and all other parts of your life. For instance, if you steal, you have to bring morality and integrity at a high level into that so that you reduce it until it's completely stopped. Okay, and it can go for drugs and all the rest of it. Integrity and morality and those values have to come into those poor places where we fail to extinguish them. Now, in a relationship, for the bad things in the relationship to be extinguished and the good things to flourish, we have to be able to bring morality and integrity and transparency and apply these things in the areas that are ripping us down. But if we haven't got our morality and integrity scales balanced correctly, we can go into a different dimension of delusion and believe that the person that we're with is wrong, when for all possibilities things could be turning to be better. So there's a real fine line between how we see things, how we interpret and perceive things, how we understand what's really happening, what cause we've had within it, what contribution we've made for that person to be the way that they are. Are we being positive and negative? And are there responses to us as a result of our inadequacies? Because a lot of women have their own inadequacies and men. But when we don't develop those poor attributes into more positive attributes, and if we're self-unaware of those things, then we can't fix them. So that we can be running around saying this about and that about everybody else, and she's talking about doing the work. Well, the work's relative to a higher attainment of morality and integrity and honesty and those things. It's not rescuing the weak with kindness and patience and all this and keeping them in a state of disabledness. It's an environment where everybody is encouraged to grow positively in things that are going to be of assets to everyone around, and getting rid of the things that are wrecking the happiness and the goals and aims of the person that you're with and we're with.
You will find that actually revolting. You will actually no longer want that or need that, because you will have grown, you will have matured, you will have healed, and therefore any man that's dysfunctional will gross you out.
Okay, so that's a pretty heavy. I'm going to just play that again.
Walk away from that, because you will find that actually revolting. You will actually no longer want that or need that, because you will have grown, you will have matured, you will have healed, and therefore any man that's dysfunctional will gross you out.
Okay, so that's a fair comment, but again, you've got to have. There's a difference between somebody that's dysfunctional and somebody you have resentment towards. I'm going to say that again. There's a difference between somebody that's being deliberately or unconsciously dysfunctional to the detriment of the person they're with, right? And somebody who has just flat out resentment or scorn or bitterness towards the person that they're presenting as being dysfunctional. Because sometimes we can say that people are dysfunctional only to hide and justify the things that we don't want to fix within ourselves.
Now, the opposite is true too. Because if you're in a dysfunctional relationship and the one partner, the guy, does the work and improves, and if you still don't feel safe with a guy who's now safe, that actually means that you're still attracted to the toxicity. You're still attracted to the drug. See,
Okay, so what do women do when the man tries to do the work to improve himself and the woman can't find her way out of it? There is a possibility where she is. See, that's a very contradictory statement. If you're wanting someone to change to escape the toxicity, then if you're addicted to the toxicity, you wouldn't want them to change. So that's a paradoxical, very confusing, and in some way manipulative statement. Let's play that bit again because it's quite
does the work
unhinged.
And if you still don't feel safe with a guy who's now safe, that actually means that you're still attracted to the toxicity.
If you're with somebody that you now feel safe with and you don't feel safe because that person's made themselves someone safe to be around, then the problem's not with the person that's improved. The problem's with the person that can't comprehend the reality of what's going on, which is things getting better. That's the problem. Things are getting better, not worse. So why would you want someone to become better if you don't feel safe around them when they become that? And you don't want them to stay the way they are because you don't feel safe with them the way that they are. Basically, what that means is you just don't like that person. So there's no point in you staying anyway. My point is, if you married that person and it was the person that you decided that you wanted to be with for the rest of your life, and they've become a better person by way of these chastisements and you need to improve and all the rest of it, and this happens to a lot of women, and you've just gotten to a point of devaluation and there's no way of making this any asset whatsoever, then the problem's not with the man. The problem's with the woman, because she's just determined herself not to accept this person anymore, whether they're good or bad, and whether they're improving or not.
You're still attracted to the drug. See, this.
Okay, so now we're getting into the things, and now we're getting into the things of the soul and spirit. And she's saying, okay, so you force this person to improve. Right? There's probably been arguments on end, and then this person's finally decided to do the work. And now what she's saying is that doesn't matter because there's still an attraction for the dysfunction. Now, if you can make sense of that, I can, because it's called sin, it's called evil, then this person is DG. And they're just not going to be of any benefit to themselves or anybody else. They're definitely not going to be an attribute to the marriage or the person that they're running through the ringer to become a better person. Can you see this, viewers?
And is a drug. And we're addicted to that drug because it makes us feel needed, it makes us feel alive, it makes us feel worthy, it rekindles how we were when we were little, which means we had love. But it's not healthy. And only through this is why I constantly say raw work, real work, the hardest work you'll do in your whole life. You have.
Okay, so if the husband does that, it doesn't matter, right? It's not going to save the marriage. It's probably going to save him as an individual, but he loses the marriage anyway. And now she's saying, forget about the marriage and the man and everything, just heal yourself. Well, you should have done that before you got married. Because now the person that this woman or whoever she's talking about is being married to has to pay the price for the underdeveloped and unresolved issues in her life. And how many times does this happen? Now, once they ditch the marriage and they feel better in themselves about that, then they just carry out their lives being deceived by lust. Because she's saying that you end up with a hunger for this toxicity. But she prefers toxicity that's outside the marriage because she can go to and fro from it, right? So it doesn't matter how good or bad or whatever else of a man you are. There's got to be an element of toxicity to keep this person entertained, and I can understand that, but at the expense of what? Well, in this case, at the paradoxical and contradictory sense of her marriage.
To come to terms with the fact that that world is not your world. And when you start healing yourself and really going deep into those limiting beliefs as to why a good man is no longer attractive to you, right? You kind of miss the old dysfunctional guy. You'll start getting that stuff out of your body. Because a lot of that dysfunction and pain that we had when we were little, we've suppressed and repressed so deeply that we don't even know that we're doing it.
I'm really sorry, but I don't even think she's making any sense. She's not making any sense. What she's saying is that if you're with a person that's trying to make themselves a better person for you, because within the woman, this woman, say this woman for instance, there's an innate conceived formation of a tendency to bend towards toxicity, and that's no good, but it's gives you a sense of enlivenedness. And then because the husband has decided to develop himself into a better man, a better version of himself, the best version of himself for her in every attribute and contribution to her life and his, the ultimate asset, because of his toxicity before that, he is going to be abandoned because he'll be too boring. Now, this is the problem in modern day marriage. The woman gets married, she marries the alpha, the naughty man, does all naughty sort of things and keeps her busy and has mystery and all the rest of it. And then she complains about it and he decides, well, I'll put the alpha side away and I'll start to become Mr. Easy and Mr. Goody and all the Mr. Boring, basically. And then when he becomes what she's asked him to become, then it's time for her to check out because it's not what she really wanted anyway. Right? So what she's saying is there's an element in all women that holds the alpha bad boy in higher esteem to anything else, even if it comes at the expense of her marriage. That's what she's saying. And as far as I'm concerned, you can do all the work and all the rest of it as a woman, but you'll never ever be able to get rid of that place because the numbers and the statistics and the way in which women have walked out of marriages from good men who probably started off as the bad boy that they always wanted, have become weaker and nicer and all the rest of it to try and make them happy. The statistics prove that that doesn't work. And no one, when you marry somebody, you know who they are when you marry them. Is that correct? By the time you marry somebody, you're supposed to know who they are when you marry them. Now, people do change and skeletons come out of the closet and all this sort of stuff. But this idea that even if a man does become a better man for the woman that he's married to, that woman under certain circumstances, despite the fact that she wanted to become a better man, him to become a better man for her, turns back towards the evil and toxicity. That's very, very true. And that's why a lot of marriages today go astray.
So it takes a lot of work. It can take years, but you're worth it.
It actually takes a lifetime, and it's working together. That really was quite bizarre because she's thrown most women under the bus that have left their marriages, tried to return to an alpha atmosphere only to find themselves sitting on their own, probably with what possibly could be, I would say, a reptile or maybe a rabbit, a cat, A lot of these women don't have dogs. What other pets? A fish bowl with a couple of fish in it, maybe a walking fish, Mexican walking fish that you can feed praying mantises to and things. There's a little bit of toxicity. But no, I thought that she was very contradictory. She was actually right in what she said. But see, what's the point, guys, of you becoming a better man if she's going to get bored with that? Women like a little bit of, mystery and naughtiness and all that sort of stuff. And if you get convinced by the woman that that's no good and, you need to be a better man, then what's she doing with you in the first place? Open your eyes. Okay? Don't be fooled by this becoming a simpleton for the sake of something that a woman doesn't really want, but she's telling you she wants. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. You keep well, stay wise, learn female nature, and I'll catch you on the next one.